be thinking thyroid. And a recording is in progress. Great. And then
one second, Dr. Seth.
Yeah.
If one of you guys are on the live, make sure that you can still hear us. I'm going to have you start that over again, Dr. Seth. Give me 1 second. My computer glitched out. Chris, Katie, can one of you let me know that this is still rolling? Hold on 1 second. On my end, it says that it's not recording, so.
Roxy's saying hi.
Yeah. Okay, it's still rolling. Okay, so let's just start from the top. Sorry about that, guys. So we're going to talk all things thyroid. We're going to talk about how it dysfunctions, why it dysfunctions, the type of dysfunction, and then really what we do. So now you can start back up. Sorry again, Dr.
Okay. We're going to take it from the top. So when we talk about thyroid, we need to look at other organs' involvement, not just the thyroid gland. So there's 3 areas we need to look. Your body makes something called TSH, and some of you guys have seen that maybe on a blood test, and that is made in the pituitary gland. So we're thinking pituitary gland. T4, which is made in the thyroid gland, so we need to look at the thyroid, and then T3, which is made in the liver, right? So we need to be thinking liver as well. So those 3 things all play a role in overall thyroid health. Does that make sense? Okay, so this happens over and over and over again. Your body's innate wisdom is what you're relying on. So you think, boy, there's something really not right with me. Maybe you're having thyroid-like symptoms, like chronic fatigue, can't get out of bed, lethargy, no zest, no get up and go. Your hair's falling out for no reason. There's heart palpitations. You're just feeling off, and you know that you have a thyroid problem. So you go to your doctor and you say, I need my thyroid checked.
Yep.
Right? And the most common thing that they will run is checking your TSH levels.
Only one thing.
Just one. I said there's 3 organ involvements, and we're just going to check TSH, meaning making sure that the pituitary is functioning. If TSH is low, which means your body's shutting that mechanism off, the doctor's going to say you're fine. Right? If TSH is high, if you have a good doctor, they will run a follow-up test. And they will run TSH and T4 together. Okay. So if TSH is high and T4 is low, basically the pituitary gland is telling the thyroid to make more thyroid hormone, and the thyroid gland isn't producing thyroid hormone, you're going to get put on a drug. You're going to get put on synthetic T4, which is going to elevate your T4 levels, and then they'll retest your TSH. If TSH drops down, they'll say, voila, problem solved. Just keep taking this drug for the rest of your ever-living life, right? And you feel the same. You still feel awful. You still have no energy, but your labs are normal, right? So now you go back to your doctor and you just keep pestering your doc over and over and over and over again. And maybe if you just keep beating your head against the wall, they will finally test T3.
Maybe.
Okay? Maybe. T3 conversion happens in the liver. Why they don't like to test T3 is there is no synthetic T3 that can be given. So why run the test if there's no prescription medication to give you, right?
Right. Well, and I've had patients come in and say, hey, they're running these labs. And I'm like, listen, they forgot T3. We need to know T3. We need to know what's going on. And I've had patients tell me that the doctor said, I'm not running that. I literally don't know what to do with that. And it's like, okay, time to get a new doctor, time to get a new endocrinologist, because if they don't understand the concept of there's TSH, T3, and T4, then you will never get well in that model, because they're completely forgetting an entire component of understanding the entire thyroid picture, and let alone never asking the why, right? Which we know is so frustrating within the medical system, is like, okay, well, this is dysfunction, here's a medication, but we always neglect to find out the why this is happening, which we'll talk about in just a little bit too. So
yeah, so if T3 is low, that's the active form that your body uses. If T3 is low, what can be done as a Band-Aid, a temporary short term, is taking a natural thyroid supplement, a thyroid glandular, to start elevating T3 so your body can actually start functioning and people start feeling better. The problem is that's a Band-Aid, because really what we should be working on is fixing the liver. Because if we can clear the liver and get the liver able to convert T4 into T3, you don't need to keep taking the thyroid supplement. indefinitely. So short term, yeah, I'm all for thyroid glandulars. I think they're great if done the right way, but long term, we better be really addressing the true cause of the problem, getting that cleared out, and giving your thyroid a chance. Unless you don't have a thyroid, it is of my opinion that really you should not be needing T4 or T3 indefinitely. Your body should be able to do that on its own.
Well, and that's the even annoyance with even people that have realized the medical system has failed them. They're trying to seek alternative treatment. I can't tell you how many people we've worked with that started working with a naturopath. And the solution from the naturopath is just, well, we'll put you, at least it's natural, which I agree. They put you on a natural, like liver glandular or thyroid glandular or whatever. But again, it's still that same allopathic mentality of like, well, this is broken. Let's not figure out why. And then we'll just put you on this. And at least it's natural, not synthetic. But again, there's still that lack of understanding what is truly dysfunctioning and what we need to do to get you so healthy that you're not a diagnosis for the rest of your life. And that's really where the mindset and the shift with healthcare has to come, is understanding the why, fixing the cause, and then all the symptoms go away. Because I love vitamins, I love herbs, I love supplements, I love everything all natural, but you should not need to be living on those to sustain life. Like, that's not the goal. They're to literally supplement a deficiency that you should fix long term, right? So again, love my oils, love my supplements, love my herbs, but they're not meant to be as a band-aid long term.
Yeah, and that's, really working with, allopathic approach versus a holistic approach. Holistic approach is talking about getting your body back to a state of homeostasis. Your body wants to be there, right? It wants to be level. If you're ping-ponging one way or the other, we got to figure out why that's happening, not just keep throwing supplements or drugs at you, because although I'm pretty sure people know where I stand on drugs, I get just as annoyed with supplements for people, because I'll meet with somebody and they're taking 30, 40 different pills a day, different supplements a day. And they're like, well, I don't know. They just keep throwing stuff at me and I keep taking it. There's no way your body can metabolize that stuff. And you're not going to get better health care through more pills. I don't care if they're supplements or drugs.
Right. Absolutely. I'm already getting a lot of private messages. Just so you guys know, we actually are launching a webinar at the beginning of August, and we'll be talking for an hour long about thyroid. Woohoo! I know you're excited, actually. So this is kind of just like a dip your toes in the sand, let you know that you're not crazy when it comes to being frustrated with your lab work with your thyroid. But so I will be letting you guys know when that webinar does happen. Today was just kind of like getting you guys excited, letting you know that there is other options out there, healing, and really just helping like open up your mindset for alternative holistic healthcare. So I want to kind of dive into really how and why the thyroid can dysfunction. And we know really the root cause of fixing most things is fixing our lifestyle, fixing our inflammation, fixing our body. But like specifically when it comes to the thyroid, there's about like 7 to 8 main things that really can push your body to more of a thyroid dysfunction versus another ailment or disease. And the number one thing, no surprise, we talk about it all the time. It's our favorite word. It starts with an I and ends with inflammation. Is inflammation of the actual thyroid gland. And so we talk about inflammation being the root cause of all things. And the reason why is inflammation just allows your body to wreak havoc because nothing is at a homeostatic level. So it's kind of hard to understand though, because you're like, well, I know I have inflammation, but how do you, don't want to say monetize, like digitize, how do you analyze that, right?
Right.
Dr. Seth, how do we analyze inflammation in the body?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't need a blood test to tell you that you're inflamed. If you're on this Zoom right now, you have inflammation in your body. It manifests in different ways. So everybody has inflammation. It's just how it manifests in your own body. Think about this in terms of even autoimmunity, right? Autoimmune disorders, those are your immune system irritated and it starts attacking your own tissue. And that's where a lot of people like to go with thyroid stuff. So thinking Hashimoto's thyroiditis, right? So if you want to go down that rabbit hole, God bless you. It's a good show me test to run that. But what you would do is do a thyroglobulin antibody test or a TPO antibody. And if they're elevated, you'd be positive for Hashimoto's. I don't think that gives us quantifiable information, because whether or not you're autoimmune, there's thyroid dysfunction, the thyroid's inflamed, anything with itis is inflammation. So it's going to be managed the same way. I will say that when people do have autoimmune issues going on, you're always going to be autoimmune sensitive. So you're going to have flare-ups. And when you have flare-up and you have Hashimoto's, where is it going to manifest? In the thyroid. So making sure you're reducing inflammation, reducing stress, reducing all these different things is how you're going to win that battle long term.
Right. Yeah. So some of the ways that we look at inflammation in the body through how many foods your body's sensitive to. We actually see an inflammation marker in your digestive system when we look at your stool sample. When we run hormone panels, we literally measure the amount of oxidative stress in your body. I know for myself, it was really, really cool because, again, same old story. A lot of you guys are doing a lot of the right things. You're exercising, you're working out, you're eating right. And I got my hormone panel back, and I'll never forget. I'm like, what in the hell? Like, my oxidative stress is like literally like horrible. And I'm like, how in the world is this possible? And now that I know what we know, it's like, well, it was not being super specific to what I needed. And as we go down the next couple of things that make you more predisposed to dysfunction in the body, I'm like, okay, now I get it. And what's really cool is I've retested, and my oxidative stress is basically at 0 now, which is why all of my widespread pain has completely gone away, why I don't need to get adjusted 24/7 anymore, and why I have like more energy than ever before. So the second thing that can make you predisposed in general to ailments or disease is obviously a poor diet. We talk about this all the time. Like, you need to have nutrition as a foundation of your health care. But specifically for thyroid health, a diet that lacks in iodine and selenium. So I know a lot of people see us eat seaweed in the office, but the reality is, aside from supplementing with iodine, seaweed is really only the true form of iodine that you can get naturally in your body. And we're like such a huge fan of getting what you need from food first and then supplementing secondarily. But I personally love the seaweed. It's like what we do as a snack in our house. We've given the kids seaweed since they were little, so they don't really know any different. But seaweed is just such a really good snack to put into your diet as a natural source of like iodine. It has lots of other really cool things too. But again, a lot of people don't eat that. So now you're getting 0 sources of iodine into your diet. You're not supplementing with it. And now again, you're creating a perfect storm for thyroid dysfunction to occur, right? So
yeah, and honestly, a bad diet, Dr. Lacey, I can't think of anything that would spark inflammatory process in the body faster than a poor diet, right? So it's always tying back to inflammation. Diet's going to be a big key.
Right. And then a deficiency of selenium is going to increase your incidence of like thyroiditis, so inflammation of the thyroid, because it stops an activity of your body producing glutathione, which detoxes your body. And glutathione, if it's working correctly, normally helps fight off oxidative stress and inflammation, which is again why everything works together and why we would look at how is your body properly detoxing, which is something we look at on a hormone panel. Because number 3 for creating a perfect storm for thyroid is, we were just talking about this before we went live, hormonal imbalances. Dun, dun, dun. So it's not as simple as just saying like, oh, I have a thyroid problem. Let's run all the thyroid tests and let's fix everything. Just like we preach when it's a hormone problem, it's not just a hormone problem. Like, every system in the body works together. And that's really, when you look at something individualized, that's more of a allopathic model versus what we do is like, how do we look at the body as a whole, which is where holistic medicine comes from, and realize hormones play a role in thyroid. Your gut plays a role in hormones. So you have to look at the whole picture, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So again, in some cases with hormonal imbalances, your pituitary gland makes TSH, which controls the levels of the hormones being pumped out of your thyroid. So a problem with your pituitary gland can cause changes to the thyroid. Hormonal imbalances with like even things like estrogen, progesterone, you name it, adrenal issues, can make a huge difference. So
yeah, so let's really take this thing home. And one of the reasons why I get so excited about this kind of stuff is once you understand it, it's that aha moment and you're like, oh, this isn't a foreign language. This isn't a mystery anymore. It's straight ahead in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're having a hard time understanding anything that's relating to physiology,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best things you can do is figure out what drug a person is given for X, Y, and Z issue.
Yep.
And understand how the drug works. If you understand how the drug works, the physiology just falls into place. Okay. So when you have high TSH and low T4, you're going to be given synthetic T4, and that's commonly called levothyroxine. I'm sure a lot of people, even on this Zoom, have been prescribed it or know somebody who's been prescribed it. They give them out like candy. Okay. So if you want to know the physiology and how things work as it relates to drugs, you go to a website called pdr.net, and that stands for Physician's Desk Reference. And so if you're a practitioner, you should be looking at these drugs for contraindications, how they work in the body, who they shouldn't be for, who they should be for, all these different things. So don't take my word for it. Go to pdr.net, type in levothyroxine, and look at contraindications. And there is one big one. It says in black and white, uncorrected adrenal insufficiency. So if
That's done. Every woman.
Yes, you mean so like everybody, right? So under no circumstances should you be taking levothyroxine if you have an adrenal problem. Can I get an amen that we have adrenal problems all over the place?
If you don't know if you have an adrenal problem, if you stress easily, if you're tired all the time, if you're fatigued, if you have widespread pain, do I sound like a drug commercial yet?
Right. Yep.
But literally, if you more than likely are going down the rabbit hole of feeling like you have thyroid dysfunction, you have adrenal, and I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but I would be so close to say like 99.9% of the time, somebody that's got thyroid issues, because what makes you predisposed, which is my next thing, to thyroid dysfunction is high levels of emotional stress and the inability to adapt, which is adrenal issues. It makes you predisposed for thyroid issues, but that's a huge contraindication for the medication that they're going to put you on, which is why people get put on the medication and their body goes freaking haywire. And they're like, what the hell? You said my TSH is off. You prescribed this medication. Now I feel worse. Their solution is, oh, we'll put you on a different dosage. And it's just this literally zero scientific evidence. And we'll just kind of like play around with what works best for you based on your symptoms, not based on lab work, not based on functional testing. You can tell I get really annoyed at this. And it's just literally a guess game, and it comes to your health. And then there are side effects of the medication, which also makes you more predisposed to more thyroid dysfunction. So it's just this horrible cycle of like literally what the double hockey sticks, right?
Yep. And Elaine, I don't know if you're still on this, but we were talking yesterday, cortisol, right, converts to its active form or can be used in the body in the liver. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times when people have adrenal conversion problems, that's creating a hormone problem. I said T4 converts to T3, guess where? The liver. So there's a lot of crossover. I get a lot of patients that will talk to me. They're like, well, when are we going to address my thyroid? I'm like, what do you think we've been doing this whole time? We've been hammering your adrenal gland. And it's like magically, oh yeah, I don't need this anymore. Oh yeah, I don't need that anymore. Well, voila, get the adrenal gland right, get the liver right, good things happen.
Which again is why a holistic approach is what's necessary to heal the body. We can no longer look, if there's one thing you guys get out of all of our talks, all of our webinars, we can no longer just solely look at an organ and try and heal it. Like you have to look at the whole entire body together. And that's hard because a lot of doctors don't. They're specialists in one area, which is why I'm not a fan of specialists unless there's a freaking, you need a specialist to put your arm back together, because they cannot take a step back and look at the whole picture. We have some patients and they're being managed by like 7 specialists and none of them know what the other one's doing. And there's so much ridiculous overlap. It's like, what in the heck? But that's the way our system works. It's like, oh, well, now you have headaches. And we were just talking about this about a patient the other day, right? So I'm like, yep. She's got 7 specialists and all of these are one main problem and none of them addressed it. And I'm like, we started work with her and like within 30 days, she's like, I literally haven't felt this good in years. And we only got into a 30-day of a 6-month protocol. And I'm like, yeah, because again, we're looking at the body as an entire being, not just this organ, this organ, this organ. So
Yep. If you want to be really, really sick, get as many specialists as possible managing your health for you.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. So what did my mom say? Thanks, Mom, for the shout out. After starting this program and testing approximately 3 weeks ago, I'm already feeling better. Boom. So I'm talking about.
That's right, Joanne. I love it.
And it's okay. We know sometimes when you get all the information, some of you guys are in the process of getting your testing back, or you've done your testing. Like, it's not great. I cried myself a pity party yesterday or Friday when I got my new food report back, and coffee and tea were on it. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm going to die. And then I'm like, wait, but I won't. And what's really cool is we totally got to see that all of the things that were wrong on my first food test before we started truly healing my body, like 98% of them are gone, which means my digestive system has healed, which I can feel. But it was just really cool to see such positive changes, even if coffee and tea showed up on my new list.
Well, we'll take it, but I did say, so you always want to get your food tested in a fasted state. And what was one thing you had right before you tested your blood, Dr. Lacey?
Coffee. I was a bad patient.
Was a bad patient. It was a bad idea.
All right. I was just saying, I already was saying I was going to try and be as strong as Marissa was. And just like, I know that for me, caffeine is like the last little thing for my body to heal. And so I was really just trying to channel my inner Marissa. And so now her and I are going to be buddies with and Karen can't do coffee either. So
yeah, Marissa and Karen are my spirit animals. You guys are killing it.
If they can do it, I can do it. So we're all in the no coffee club together. We got this.
Keep me up.
Yes, I'm pretty sure my staff said to let them know when I'm done detoxing, and then they'll be back. So
it's a good idea.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed our quick intro into thyroid health. Again, we're going to be doing a thyroid webinar real soon at the beginning of August. I will make sure we post and publicize that so you guys can get on it. You can get your friends. We'll go way more in depth with it because we'll have an entire hour. But we thank you guys so much for joining our Coffee with the Doc this morning, talking about thyroid, listening to me complaining about no coffee. And as always, if you guys have questions, please connect with our Facebook group, invite your friends and family. Again, the journey to healing is so much easier and so much more fun when everybody's doing it with you. And there's nothing better than your family getting healthy and well with you. So again, invite them into our group, connect on our social media, on our Instagram, on our Facebook, send us questions. And we're going to actually be sending a poll out this week as to some topics that you guys want us specifically to cover on our Coffee with the Docs. So again, we want to hear from you guys as to what you want to hear from us, and no topic is too silly for us to talk about. So all things are available. So
now, Dr. Lacey, I have to say I told you so, because you did not want to do this topic because you hate thyroid stuff, but was I right?
You're right.
Okay.
I don't hate it. You just nerd out on it. That's all.
Yes, I get very excited. You know what? A broken clock is right twice a day. So, there's that.
Yeah. I know Katie's excited to hear about this topic. So we got you, Katie. All right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and we will see you here next Sunday at 9 a.m. Have a great week.